Hi everybody, so glad to have you with me today. First off, I just want to say thank you so much for the amazing response to my ColourPop collaboration little bundle thing. That was so exciting to get to announce, and I feel so passionately about those products that I picked, and I can't wait to see you all, wearing them and trying different combos. Combos is really the basis for this video that I wanted to bring you today, because I feel like lately there have been some different products that I think are kind of better together. I'm not seeking to like complicate your makeup routine and have you double up on every single, thing that you put on, but at the same time, I think you can actually stretch what your products are capable of by making some different combinations, and it might actually keep you from making a whole separate purchase, you know what I'm saying? I've got some different combos of coverage products that I think are really good, just a few other things you might not have considered, and I decided the best and most simplified way to show you that today would be just to do a get ready with me style video with it. Things are a little crazy in our house right now, by the way. Bub, he, over the course of the end of last week and this past weekend, he had the flu, and we had him like quarantined in the basement. We didn't want anybody else to get it, but Biddy ended up getting it, and now Belle's showing signs. So I thought, well, I'll knock out this video and then we'll get back to flu care downstairs. But really, Bub is over it at this point, and Biddy responded to the Tamiflu like really quickly. I would say in like 24 hours, which was crazy. So I'm thinking about all of you who are dealing with sickness right now. I know it's going around in a lot of places. So we're gonna start out today with the foundation. I've already got my moisturizer and sunscreen on, but I'm gonna do a little combo here with my Smashbox. This is the Studio Skin Full Coverage, and I was wearing this and this alone all over my face in my favorites video and my ColourPop announcement video, and I do love it just on its own. It's a very easy to blend full coverage foundation. It's very creamy. It's not at all mousse-like. If you've ever used the Estee Lauder Double Wear, the really maximum cover one, it's kind of moussey, and there's a thickness to that. And I'm not saying it can't blend with other products, but this is more like just creamy, a little more standard foundation-y kind of creamy texture. And I've started to realize how nicely that can work in just a small bit of this to like any other product, just to up the coverage a little bit. I've really liked it in with my L'Oreal True Match Lumi. So this is a liquid foundation that has kind of a glowy finish, but even my Radiant Tinted Moisturizer from Neutrogena, I do basically 2 parts of this to 1 part of this, and the result is really nice because this is radiant, this is glowy, this is sheer, and then you pop in that little bit of extra coverage and it's a really great effect on the skin. So we're gonna do that today. I'm just gonna do my one little bit of this. I'll try to show you as best I can just how little it is that I'm using. This is maybe half the size of a small pea that I'm working with here, and then I'm gonna add in a little bit of this. I'm gonna do like double the amount of the Neutrogena. And for shade reference, I am 2.15 in the Smashbox, and I'm Sheer Fair in the Neutrogena. Just between my fingers, I just blend those out. If you've got a nice little blending palette, you could bring that in as well, but basically everything that's on my fingers is gonna get smeared on my face here. It's very precise. You just swipe all over, and pay attention to where you're swiping first to be like those places where you know you do want the most coverage. So I'm kind of paying attention mostly to the center of my face, knowing that I don't really need as much coverage on the sides of my face, but we're all different, so think about that as you do it. And now I'm just swiping off whatever's left. Swipe. Beauty blender will work great to blend this out, or I've been loving my little RT Real Techniques Go brush. This I reviewed in a video recently on some new drugstore brushes that were from Real Techniques, and I feel like it hugs the skin. It's a perfect shape and size, great density and softness, and you'll notice I'm just kind of pressing this in and then blending it around. Now it's just a tiny bit of the Smashbox foundation in there, but because of the consistency, like I explained, it's not too like thick and moussey. It really blends into whatever you're mixing it with very effectively and evenly. So if you've got that and you want to experiment with some of your other foundations, you want to kick the coverage up a notch on some things that you have, definitely consider using this as a mixer because it blends really well. well. I think after I get done blending in foundation, I always say, and boom, boom, here we are. I think we're at like a good medium coverage now, considering that we've blended it into something more sheer. Here's another thing that I think is just a rock star, really on its own, but I love layering it in with other concealers, and it's the Maybelline Instant Age Rewind. I'm gonna run out of this soon, but this is the Brightener shade, and it's kind of pinky toned. It's very, very brightening indeed, and it's not too thick. So if you find yourself adding this in with another concealer, it's not like you're putting in a ton of added weight or a thick, heavy, cakey product. But like I had talked about with my Neutrogena in a past video, this Radiant Cream Concealer, I like it, but it could use a little more coverage, and the tone of this, this shade called Bisque, could use a little more brightness for me. And it, sure enough, blending this in with it really, really helps. And there have been so many times where I've popped on a concealer and I thought, I'd like that to be just a little brighter, and then boop, boop, add a little bit of this like inner part of the eye, and it's great. Today I'm gonna do that. I'm actually just gonna start with my Maybelline and just give myself that brightness where I know I'm gonna want it. I'm also gonna want brightness here and here, maybe a little on the chin, little above the lip. And then I take this nice kind of skin tone matching Neutrogena that is also not too heavy. It's a really easy to blend out concealer, but you know, I could have used a little more coverage as I explained in that new stuff at Walmart video. Then just gonna go back to the same brush for right now, and I'm just gonna pat over what I've done here. Look at this. Could not be easier. I'm not doing any crazy mixing. I'm just dabbing right over it, and I feel like I've got great coverage, the brightness right where I want the brightness, and the skin tone concealer is also just coming right in over it as I dab, and the coverage is gorgeous. And again, not too heavy. It's a special texture in that Maybelline Instant Age Rewind. And how long has that been sitting on my skin up there? It doesn't set too fast, so you're not gonna struggle to blend it. Love it. Look at this. Easy, easy incorporation of two products that can really just make a great effect on your concealer. And then with this brush, I just take out that little bottom part. In case you didn't see that video, this is what that looks like. They claimed that this was a blush brush. It ain't a blush brush. It's too small for me to be that, but it can really come around, and I press it into like the little creases of the nose area, press that product in, press it around the under eye, kind of hit that crease so excess product is somewhat lifted away. You might even go back a little later with this brush and try that. But are these two products not like a match made in heaven there? And I'm not saying you have to have this exact concealer to pair with it, but this makes a nice friend to a lot of concealers. It really does. Now, powder-wise, something you see me do, I think, in most of my videos is use a little bit different tone of powder on the under eye compared to what I might use all over the face. If I intend to set the face with something, it's gonna be maybe a little different tone. And one that makes a nice friend to my other powders is my Besame Brightening Violet powder. I've kind of rediscovered this one. I rediscover this one on a regular basis. Like I float away from it, I tried some other things, and I'm always coming back. This is a really interesting tone of powder. That cool, just very subtle hint of violet really is nice when you're trying to top off concealers and maintain some brightness. So I get a little, just a tiny bit there in the cap. This is also great for not looking cakey. And I just dab this gently over the under eye using my e.l.f. small tapered brush. And I just feel a little more confident in the staying power of my concealer. Another consideration that you want to make is if you've got some nice kind of emollient concealers happening there, and you've also put on some good eye creams, setting it can help the wear of your eye makeup that you've got on under here, whether that's mascara or eyeshadow or liners or whatever it may be. Just having the lightest bit of powder you can get away with, I think, is useful there. So I'm just kind of pressing that in center of the face, blending a little bit of that Smashbox, I think, into the Neutrogena Tinted Moisturizer does keep me from being quite so sticky feeling all over my skin, but I still like to set all over with something. So I'm using my IT Cosmetics CC Plus Airbrush Perfecting Powder. This has the SPF 50 in it. This is a really nice powder that I've raved about before, just because the coverage is so super customizable. So this can be like straight up powder foundation. It can be a very lightweight setting powder like I'm using it now. It's kind of all in how much you pick up on the brush and your method of application. So I'm using my e.l.f. complexion brush, which I think can apply things really nicely in a light way. And this powder is a little bit more of a skin tone match, whereas the violet was clearly much more brightening. So they make a good pair using them in conjunction with one another on my face. Now I feel set all over, but I'm set with the right tones in the right places. So that's something, again, I do that quite often in my makeup videos, but I wanted to spotlight that concept here in case you hadn't thought about it before. For bronzer today, I don't really have a nifty pairing. I'm just gonna use one. This is my Believe Beauty bronzer in Tahitian Sun. That is the DG brand. That's Dollar General. Said it before, but there's a crowd out there. There's a rural Midwest crowd who knows all about Dollar Generals and Casey's Pizza. But this is a little bit of a luminous bronzer. It looks really good sheared out on the skin, I think. It's gonna be one of those bronzers I wear and don't expect like a big dark contrast or anything, but it just looks good on the skin. It really looks skin-like. I'm gonna let a very light bit of that kind of come across the top of the cheeks, across the top of the nose in a very classic bronzer way. Just give my skin a little more life, and then get a bit more on the brush and take it down the neck. Make sure everything's looking harmonious here from the chest up to the face. Busting out my squirrel mug here at the end of winter. Y'all, I'm not ready to spring forward here at the end of this week. I mean, some people are all about that. I remembered really getting a hatred for that when I was working on the news and I had this morning shift where I would be going to bed so early. And I always felt like when we had to spring forward, I felt like I was missing even more day than I already was because my bedtime would be at like 5 or 6 o'clock. So strange. And I still get asked to this day, do you miss the news? Do you miss the news? And I think back to that, I'm like, no. But I do miss my coworkers. Many of them have moved on as well by this point. I miss the interviewing part of it too, though. That was always really fun for me. I loved meeting people, learning their stories. I love the human interest type stories. But back to the video, we're gonna talk about blush, and I have a cream blush combo if you want a glowy cream blush. What I've got here is one from M Cosmetics. It's one of my favorites of the ColourDrop Serum Blush, and it's in Soft Amethyst. This brand is really doing liquefied blushes the best. They're very potent, little goes a long way, but yet they're easy to blend. They're not gonna lock into your skin the way a stain would. So they're just terrific to work with, but this shade is very rich. And when I say a little goes a long way with this, like, I mean it. This one could come with a little bit of a warning perhaps, but it's fun to add in some glow to these, and then the look is so radiant on the skin. So if you've got any kind of liquid highlight, here I've got the Milani Strobe Light in the shade Afterglow. It's pretty intense, and you fuse the two and it's like you've given yourself glowy blush, but in this creamy format. It looks really fresh. So here's the way I do it. This comes in like a dropper style, so I'll just put a drop of that on the back of my hand, just like so. That's gonna be more than enough for my 2 cheeks. Calling a friend, hey, can I borrow your cheeks? Got a little extra cream product on my hand. Okay, and there is the strobe light now. So what I'm gonna do with my middle finger is give myself a dot and dot over here, and then I'm going to take my ring finger and dab the cream, and then just grab a synthetic brush, swirl, and we're getting pretty glowy rosiness here. And what's beautiful about it is that it has this kind of weightless, obviously non-powdery look, but we get to take advantage of the glow and the color. And then if there's any more of either of these that you want, go for it. Work at your own pace because this stuff doesn't set up too quick. In fact, I want a little more color. So I'm gonna go with a little bit more of the Soft Amethyst. Oh, I just love the way that shade shears out. You can customize, you can add, just have fun and play with it, but it's kind of cool the thought that you can blend those two together and you get this really pretty glowy rosiness. I mean, if you want to use your hand as a full-on palette, you could just blend them right there and then take that to the cheeks. But these are just 2 textures that work very nicely together. So if you've ever wanted a glowy M Cosmetics ColourDrops blush, there you go. Then I'm just gonna pop on a little bit of setting mist. I'm getting ever closer to the end of my Farsali here, so let's keep working it. It's the Rose Gold Mist. Always gives kind of a glowy look, but another one I'm so loving is this one from Neutrogena. It looks so fresh. For brows, I'm just gonna use my e.l.f. Ultra Precise Brow Pencil because that's the one I'm working through right now in neutral brown. And then I'm gonna be setting the brows with my Almay Brow Styler. I guess this is kind of an unintentional duo because I just always end up most days using a couple things in my brows unless I'm using one of those true one-step things like the Physicians Formula Brow Last. My Maybelline pomade can kind of be like a one-step deal for me too, but I would highly recommend you try this Almay Brow Styler if you're looking for something to set your brows with that is never going to overgoop them and that is going to hold them in place like no other. If you've really got to have that hold and the tint, consider it for sure. Plus the amount of product you get. I say it every time, but it's a generous amount compared to some of these other teeny tiny gels. The girls are downstairs watching Frozen 2 again with Nana. Rhett's taking a nap, so it's like I found my window. I can do this. And love using the spoolie to just work that product through. There are always, without fail, various places in my brows where it's just too much laid down, and then you can use the spoolie and boom, you're good. And then here with the Almay, just right out of the brush. You see how I take this out, and I'm not like spending time trying to clean off my brush, right? It's perfect every time. Nice, even color. And hold that you will oddly feel right away. Here's what we're gonna do for eyes. I've got a little bit of a combo here in terms of a cream product that makes such a pretty, unique, fun pop on the lid. So first I'm gonna start out by just using my Milani eyeshadow primer. Maybe we've technically got a dream trio of things going on here. Get that all over the lid. Then I would say grab for any just neutral palette or really whatever you want to do. We're gonna get some nice crease contrast going, and then I'm gonna pop on this new thing from the Balm. It's called Sparkling Liquid. It's this really pretty shade that looks like kind of an opaque lavender, but it does have a beautiful kind of sparkle embedded in it. It's called Lavender Mimosa. And what I'm gonna pair that with is my Nudes of New York palette, which I love. I think this is a phenomenal neutral palette from the drugstore. And we're just gonna get the crease going with a little bit of, let's use this Explorer shade right here. And oh man, have I got a neutral eye look that I'm gonna be bringing to you guys soon that I hope you really enjoy. The inspiration was a very unlikely place, but I turned out to love it. This is my ES2 Firm Blending Eyeshadow Brush from Profusion. It's kind of replacing my Sigma E25, gotta say. It's doing everything that the Sigma E25 did. I just wish it was a bit more accessible because I have not found these brushes in my Walmart store, but they are on Profusion's website. Maybe you guys are finding them at Walmart or Target. Let me know. But I'm just hitting up the whole entire crease here from the outside to the inside. And then I'm going to go over that with a little bit of Creator up here. This is kind of a peachy, light, warm brown. And I'm topping it off, but I'm kind of also letting it go up above here too. Can you take me higher? I have the strangest songs pop into my head. The most random songs. Okay, so we're getting this really buffed out, not too dark of a thing going here with the crease. Then I want to highlight. Highlighting with the pointed crease eyeshadow brush, that's the ES3. Going to Soloist and just letting some of that kind of smooth out our border. Basic, easy, we know how to do this. And then take in the cream. And this is a really fun shade. You guys are gonna love this. Okay, I'm gonna pop it on the lid. Look how opaque this is, this lavender. Just kind of paint it on initially, the inner half, and then dab over it with your finger. Or I guess you could use a brush. I don't know. I feel some real sense of control using my finger here. And the sparkle in there starts to come out as you pat over it. And I think you remove a little excess liquid maybe. Not this super liquidy, but a little bit of the excess cream. And then that sparkle is so nice. And it's like lilac, but not in your face purple. Okay, swiping. Think about swiping it on. About the inner half is a good amount of product. Oh, it's so pretty. And it wears well for me too, which is great. Really seems to lock in, but it's just Just so pretty. If you wanted to build up, you could. I mean, I just had a little spot there that I thought was a little uneven, but so nice. Then what I like to do to really feel finished and completed with this is take a flat brush and then bring in a deeper shade and kind of pat in. So like Globetrotter right here, let's use this rusty, like really dark mix of rust and cranberry. Dab it on the outer corner. Let it just overlap your cream shadow a bit. And that's a cream that's gonna set for you, like I said, and wear well. But something about a little depth there just really works for me. There's also a plum. That might have been the more predictable move to go with here, but I like this rust. Kind of flip my brush, let that darkness hit the crease, and suddenly it's all making sense, isn't it? This palette I would highly recommend. I love it. I love the textures. It's a relatively small palette with a lot of different nice neutral things going on, but you wouldn't even need this to pair with this. I just think it's a nice little spotlight shade paired with probably loads of different palettes you might already own. And then I'm taking the ES2 again and just buffing over that, softening out that crease now that we've brought in something darker. It's fresh. It's springy. Now what I want to do is use a little light liner in the lower inner rim. This is just the white liner from the L'Oreal Infallible line because I lost my, oh hello wind. I lost my Wet n Wild Ultimate Brow Highlight, which is the best thing to use here. There we go. Instant bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. If I made a light liner for the lower inner rim, if anybody wants to collab with me on a light liner for the lower inner rim, I will name it Bright-Eyed and Bushy-Tailed. There's our eye look, keeping it light, keeping it fresh. I'm not gonna do eyeliner today because I want a big focus on the lashes because I got a lash combo. Something's been growing on me, you guys, and I don't recall being super impressed by this right at the get-go, but something's evolving with this product as I've owned it and I've used it a bit more. It's the Milani, the Violet One Base. This is a lash primer. I am kind of liking how the brush is more like longer bristles on one side, shorter on the other side, and I guess I've had it a little while and I feel like it's building up on the lashes really nicely. And one mascara in particular that I've liked with it is this Lancome Monsieur Big. I know I'm not saying that perfectly, not even kinda right, so just, it's okay. But I get my lashes really nicely curled and get some of this on, and I don't know if I wasn't thinking this was holding the curl so well in my lashes before, but I think with a little age on this primer, it's just really like creating a dramatic effect for me. And I had seen someone in a video pairing this with the Lancome primer, which I know is a pretty popular product, but I gotta say, I'm even more impressed with the way things look with that on top of the Milani. Superhero for me is a little bit dry to layer on top of a primer really well, and it doesn't really need it. But if you've got any creamier mascaras that you sort of struggle to build on your lashes, consider popping them on top of this Milani primer and tell me how it goes. I am going to let that sit just a bit, and I'm going to use my Thrive Liquid Lash Extensions on the lower lashes. That's just really what I like to use because it's a tubing mascara that does not smear, and Thrive is a real good brand to support. With every purchase you make there, they're gonna contribute to women in need. You guys notice there's a lot of skincare products coming out with sort of a honey base or honey ingredient infusion with them. You know, I love the Honey Grail from Pharmacy. I continue to use that every night before bed, but I'm starting to try a lot more things that have some honey, both skincare and I've got like a makeup thing. Would you like to see a video on honey stuff? That'd be okay, honey? Let's go for this now. We're gonna take this big mascara from Lancome, and it's not bad on its own. Like, this is a pretty impressive mascara as is, but sometimes I feel like it's just, I don't know, a little creamy, a little much, but when I bulk up my lashes with a little primer first, then I'm really like, oh, okay, this is working. And I do love Estee Lauder's little black primer, and I'm gonna retry it and kind of compare to this one more directly because it's been a little while for me, but that Milani really bulked things up nicely. But I think the interesting thing about some of these combos is it's not necessarily that you need both things, it's that there's one key product that just makes a really good partner, like the Smashbox and the Maybelline and the Milani. It's like, play around, use some different things you might already have, but know that those products make a good mixer or partner. I mean, this pleases me so much, like the look of these lashes. And paired with that nice bright lid, I'm just really into that. Now for the lips, as I was saying, I've got my ColourPop bundle. I'm gonna link to it in the comments section. You can use the code Emily Noel and save 15% on my bundle, which is really cool. But in my video where I introduce these, I try them all on individually. And on Instagram lately, I've been showing you some different combos because really this is the tip of the iceberg. I love all these shades. I really like them in their purest, just individual state, but it's fun to do some combos because you get colors that you didn't even know were really contained in this. And these are their Just a Tint lip crayons. They're super comfortable. They're very full color. Even the light shades aren't streaky and annoying. The deeper shades kind of last a little bit better on your lips. But one combo that I really, really like is taking Gimme Some More and Treasure Island. So our kind of toasty nude and our berry together, and we get a really pretty dusty rose shade. So I go with Gimme Some More first, and I really focus that in on the center of the lip. So these are all existing shades that ColourPop makes, and they're like, would you want to pick some of your favorite products for a featured like bundle for the month of March? I'm like, heck yeah. So there we are, we've got Gimme Some More there. Now we're gonna take Treasure Island, and it can have some space on the outside where it's kind of holding its own just as is, but then it starts to overlap and it lightens it up. See that? You apply it and then you mush and then it mixes itself. But I love this kind of soft neutral plus rose combination that you didn't really think was included in this combo. So I love those two. I also really like taking Always Right, which is our soft nude pink, pairing a little bit of that with a Go-Go, and it makes a great medium pink. Chimichanga's kind of out there like, I love this shade completely, just pure, full on its own. It is a gorgeous red. But if you want to dial that back, mix a little bit of a Go-Go with it, okay? And it'll be a little less bright. Or mix a little bit of Treasure Island and it'll add some berry, it'll cool it down a little bit. Even if you think certain shades here are not your cup of tea, they're so easily blendable with one another. You can mix and match and create your own combos, which is awesome. So this is it, guys. Finished look. Do you like it? I like it a lot, actually. It's really fun to do this with your makeup. I would challenge you to do this and kind of come up with some different combos of products. If you got a situation where something's not 100% right, like see what you can combine it with and make it your own and really customize the product to what you want it to be. For me, I felt like I've got a lot of like all-star things that I individually love in this video, like this for example, but I wanted to see, can I make that glowy? And it looks great that way. And you know, working with my concealers and foundations and really getting finishes and coverage levels and brightness levels that work for me. Who says you can't play around and mix them? So thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed, guys, and I will see you soon. Bye.